Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 11, Episode 24. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being here this Friday with us, Steelers Nation. Dave, we have a whole lot to talk about today. Unfortunately, it will not include a preview of an upcoming game against the Tennessee Titans. We'll talk about how that game has been postponed to a later point in the season, which is extra unfortunate because we all had to suffer through whatever you want to call last night's. I hesitate to even call it a game between the Broncos and the Jets. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing well. You keeping your chin diaper on and all, keeping it tight. Did you watch South Park? Did you watch the latest episode?
I haven't. The pandemic special. Is it good?
It's all right. I don't know.
It's not classic South Park.
No. Look, at one point, especially in the early stages, I was a pretty big South Park fan, but it's kind of gotten to the jump the shark stage. I think it was entertaining parts of that, but some of the things are just a little bit. I mean, I watched it because why not? It was a season premiere, and obviously spoofing the pandemic and all like that. But they could have did all that in 30 minutes instead of an hour, I think. So make sure you keep your chin diaper buckled tight there. Yeah,
Make sure Sam Darnold keeps his helmet strapped tight. He's a poor guy.
Absolutely. Boy, both teams took, the quarterback seemed to take a little bit of a beating there. And I don't know what it is about the MetLife Stadium, man, but, injuries galore there last night once again. You can bet that's going to be another topic on the talk radio circuit probably today on into the weekend here, all the injuries there. And about the game itself, I found it pretty entertaining overall. I mean, there was some scoring, there was some defensive picks, there were a couple decent plays in there, some good throws. We saw a nice little cover 2 hole shot, I think, by Ripien, kind of late in that game too. And then we had Adam Gase just crapping the bed all over the place there. Why would you have gone for it on fourth and 1 there with what they have? They were down 2, right, at the time, with forget the exact time, 4 minutes or something like that. You got to go at 0-3. You got to go for it there, right?
Yeah, I think you got to be aggressive. I'm sure you're not saying that as someone who picked the Jets last night, but I think 0-3
result bias, huh?
You got to be aggressive. I don't know. Adam Gase is a disaster. Darnold's playing hurt. Becton shouldn't have played at all. The left tackle, he was clearly in pain, and he had to bow out halfway through. And then Fangio at the end of the game is throwing the ball on 4th down with 13 seconds left. They're up 12 points. What a disaster.
Absolutely, it was. I think on Gase's end, but I don't think he's going to get fired anytime soon. But it's only a matter of time, I think, before he is. So. And now I guess everybody and their brother has Sam Darnold going to the Steelers now, right?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Is that just from Juju saying that he likes Sam Darnold, would love to play with him because of the USC connection? Is that where this whole story stemmed from?
I think it goes back a couple weeks into the middle of September with the Jets and kind of the fiasco going on with the Jets. I think Will Brinson from CBS Sports kind of put it out there that how good it would look, for them to trade Darnold to the Steelers if they get the number 1 pick and go after, whoever they might go after, top quarterback 1 or 2 overall this year. But that stuff frustrates me because people just don't look at all the details involved in it. I went ahead and wrote about it this past week. I love stomping on dreams. For starters, the Steelers are going to be very cap strapped in 2021. And with Darnold scheduled to earn $4.6 million in 2021, how are you going to even with all the cap massaging that the Steelers have going on, how are you even going to get that fit up underneath the cap there, And then you look into not only that obstacle, what are you going to do? You got to turn around and pick up, you trade for Darnold. What would Darnold cost in a trade? A second-round pick at minimum?
Too much would be my answer, but yeah, probably a second, maybe a third.
All right, and I'm with you. Too much. All right, for what the Steelers probably would want to give up. Let's back it up even further. You fully expect at this point right now, and obviously it can change. You expect Roethlisberger to sign an extension in February or March, right?
I think it's a reasonable expectation.
I mean, obviously that can change, as this season plays out. But from what you've seen so far, what you would think that that's the possibility. So at a minimum, that would be a two-year extension. All right. Even so, how are you going to get Darnold fit under the cap? And then are you going to turn around right away because his fifth-year option would be due next offseason? Are you going to pick up his fifth-year option on top of it and then have two very expensive quarterbacks on your roster in 2022? And then what are you going to do about Darnold's contract after 2022? Are you going to franchise tag him, having never played? There's so many different layers to this, and I tried to break down each one of them. It's just, if you're listening to this and you're thinking there's half of a chance that Sam Darnold is going to land with the Steelers in 2021, you better hope that Ben Roethlisberger either gets cut or retires, because that is the only way it's going to happen. I even think it's far-fetched out there. So don't believe all this BS on the Twitter machine and internet right now.
I'm with you. I think you wrote a good article outlining why it won't happen and splashing some cold water on the idea. But Dave, let's get to the top story. And I'm sure every Steeler fan knows the news by now. It was announced yesterday morning, so this is Thursday morning, that the NFL has officially postponed the Steelers-Titans Week 4 matchup to sometime later in the season. Initially, when we first talked on Wednesday, we thought maybe it'll be on Monday or Tuesday, but because the Titans continue to have more positive COVID tests, including, I believe, 2 on Friday, the NFL has decided just to punt on the week and trying to play the game, and have not announced when the game will be made up. We know there is a ability to reshuffle the schedule where the Steelers and Titans could play Week 7, which would push Steelers and Ravens to Week 8 when both teams had their normally scheduled bye. So obviously a very dicey situation. Still don't know a lot of information, but we do know the Steelers and Titans will not be playing in Week 4.
I guess we kind of buried the lead there, didn't we?
It's a slow burn on the Terrible Podcast.
talking about Sam Darnold. Oh, that's just stuff that fires me up, man. People just don't look at the details associated with that stuff. But all right, here we go. This is going to be a pretty decent conversation, I have a feeling here. First and foremost, how much blame of this do you put on the Titans?
I don't blame anyone. There's no evidence that any player was reckless in the way that the Miami Marlins in baseball, and I think maybe the Cardinals players or someone were allegedly reckless in the way that they acted and went out and were exposed to this. We don't know the origins of really how the outbreak started. So short answer, until we get some sort of information. Otherwise, I'm not here to try to place fault on someone because it's pointless anyway.
And people out here trying to assume that the Titans did something wrong with protocol, okay? Have you found any proof yet that the Titans did anything wrong here? Or is this just one of those crap happens things?
Yeah, I mean, again, we don't know the origins of this, but there is, to my knowledge at least, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, there is no evidence that the Titans did anything out of step in terms of protocol.
I don't see that as well either, and supposedly, obviously Mike Vrabel runs a pretty tight ship from what I understand. This is just one of these things. I mean, this is one of the things that this is not the NBA, all right? This is not the NHL. There is no bubble here. It's next to impossible to run an NFL bubble. Right? Mm-hmm. Right. I think that's expecting way too much for as long as the season is and games and all like that. Asking these players to kind of do that kind of do what is going on with going on with the NBA, what went on with the NHL and all there. So, to me, I mean, I don't know how shocked you've been up until this point with the lack of positive tests. I mean, obviously, those numbers have been fantastic, but all it takes is just one little hole puncture in in the bubble, if you will, even though it's not really a bubble. And then you have what you have had happen this week with the Titans, and 2 more tested positive this morning, from what I understand, and this thing's just going to have to run its course, and it's very understandable now. How would you have liked to have been a member of the Steelers, thinking that, okay, they're going to let this game go on now? We don't really know for sure if this thing is squashed,
Right. Yeah. And that's the reason why I think the league finally decided just to not even try to play this game Monday, Tuesday, whenever they would attempt to play it, because of the repeated and day after day more positive tests. Had there been positive tests on Tuesday and that was the end of it, and everyone is testing negative, who didn't test positive on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the rest of the week, the NFL probably plays this game. But because of the incubation period of COVID and how you can wait up to a week before you actually test positive, even if you do have the virus, that's a risk the NFL was not willing to take. So overall, my thoughts, I know there's a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, and I understand that, and I can sympathize with that for sure from Steelers Nation. But this is not about fairness. It does suck for the Steelers. It's okay to say that out loud. It sucks for the Steelers. It's unfortunate. All the reasons that are kind of obvious about having an early bye week, not really having a traditional bye week, all those things. But the NFL is not concerned about fairness. They're concerned about playing a 16-game regular season. And whatever they have to do to accomplish that, they're going to do. That is their business model. And I don't think it's as bad for the Steelers as some fans are making it out to be. No, the Titans should not forfeit.
What?
And it does suck.
Wait,
but
what?
I think Pikachu shock faced over there, but it's not great for the Steelers, obviously, and we'll talk about all those reasons why. But it's not the end of the world either.
At any point, do you feel that the Titans should have had to have forfeited this game?
No, and I understand the instinct for Steelers fans is to say yes, forfeit, kick him out of the league, all that kind of stuff. I get that feeling. But it's just not in reality, because you want to talk about a Pandora's box. I mean, and I look at it this way. If the shoe was on the other foot and the Steelers were the team that had all these positive tests, I promise those Steeler fans talking about a Titans forfeit would not be saying the same for the Steelers.
What? Look, I think it's incredibly stupid. If any of you are listening to this and you think the Titans should have to forfeit this game, that's stupid. How's that? For Friday brashness. I mean, it's stupid. They didn't, unless you can prove to me that there was anything done on their end that went totally against protocol that resulted in this happening, there's no way you're going to make me believe that otherwise. All right? So it sucks. Yes, it sucks. Now, Did they do right in now? Look, we don't even know what the fallout is this completely, because they have not set a reschedule for this game. All right, We think we know might happen, and that is that this week will serve as the Steelers' bye week along with the Titans. The Steelers' normal bye week, week 8. Once again, this is not official, all right? So this is just a million, probably hundreds of people speculating right now all over the place. The Steelers' Week 8 game, or Week 8 bye week, right, would become Steelers versus Ravens, which is scheduled to be right now in Week 7, which would then open up Week 7, which is the Titans bye week, for Steelers Titans to actually take place. The fallout of that would obviously be the Steelers having to play three road games in a row against pretty stiff or what would be viewed as pretty stiff competition in Dallas, the Titans, and then
Baltimore,
and then not technically, I guess, having a full bye week on top of it, and then having what people viewed as a perfect bye week in Week 8 moved to much earlier in the season.
Right, and just for a point of clarification on the bye week thing, even in a normal bye week, even if this craziness didn't happen, it would not have been a traditional bye week for these players. As Mike Tomlin said, every team during a bye week has to come in daily for COVID testing, so there is no going away on vacation or getting some time away. Obviously, you don't have to practice; you're at home. You don't have to really be as intense about football. But even the bye weeks, traditionally as scheduled ones for all teams, are not exactly the vacation that they would have been in years past.
Right, exactly. And look, does it stink? Absolutely. Is it right though to do that? To take away a team's bye week like that.
It's not about rightness to me. It's reality. This is the hand you're dealt. You're trying to play football in a pandemic. As you said, there is no bubble because the bubble model is a lot tougher to do for the NFL than it would be for the NHL or NBA. It's about the NFL's mission of trying to get through this season by playing all 16 games. And if this is what you have to do it, then that's what you have to do. And I think it was the right call for the NFL to not play this game Monday, Tuesday, whenever. I just don't think that was possible given the continued updated COVID cases and then the Titans' lack of practice time off of that and then just not being prepared for this game. It wouldn't have been safe for the Titans to do it. It wouldn't have been safe for the Steelers to do it, for the refs, for anyone involved. So this is the reality. And so we'll see if the NFL wants to do the schedule swap, as you said, or they could still push the game to a week 18 if they want to create that. But I don't think they're going to do that right now based off of one game. I think the NFL will take a roll of the dice and hope that this is a one-off thing. They can just do the schedule swap that you laid out now, and then hopefully won't have this incident and this problem happen again. It may very well could. It would be certainly a gamble. It would not surprise anyone if this happens to a different team at some point during the season. But that's my guess at the NFL's approach.
I guess some listening to this podcast are saying, then why the heck did they come up with all these opt-out rules and 16-man practice squad and IR, and why did they add all these extra things if they're still not going to play a game based on what all has happened?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the NFL is postponing this game not because the Titans necessarily don't have enough healthy players. It's because players continue to test positive. And God forbid, if you played this game, let's say Monday at 5, and then Tuesday, more Titans players test positive because, again, we know there's an incubation period with COVID. Then you've just exposed both teams. And you want to talk about craziness from there. I mean, it gets really wild from there. And then, again, the Titans not being able to practice, not being able to prepare, because there's still more positive tests. They can't get together as a team. Those are the reasons why it's been canceled, not from a sheer lack of availability with the roster.
All right. What can they do to help? This is precedent now, right? I mean, where do you draw the line of players getting sick during the week and like what happened with the Titans, and where do you make the decision of, okay, go ahead and play, boys, versus we got to postpone it?
Well, I'm glad I don't have to answer that question. I'm glad I'm not the medical personnel in charge.
I guess my question would be, what happens next time? And the league says, you know what?
Sure.
We were starting to have more of these. You guys are just going to have to play these games. And let me tell you, I'd be scared to death if I was a member of the opposing team, and there's no positive with us, and we're going into a weekend with a team, and we're wondering if they've got it under control.
Well, I would hope the NFL would not be that reckless and put player safety ahead of everything else. If there is that feeling of we're not sure if we have this thing under control for a team, you just can't play that game no matter what. And then that may be where you start saying, okay, let's have a week 18 where we're going to play makeup games on that date. And actually, there's a little bit of precedent for this, and I didn't realize this. You probably remember it better than I do. But in 2001, after the September 11th attacks that canceled all the games week 2, they had a week like 18 where they pushed all the week 2 games that were canceled to the end of the season. So, and then the playoffs were pushed back a week, same with the Super Bowl. So there actually is a little bit of precedent for that, believe it or not. So that would be, I think, the NFL's approach if these things continue to happen. I think for now they're going to just try to hope and cross their fingers this is a one-off thing and do the schedule swap that you laid out with them, the Tennessee Titans and the Steelers playing week 7. But yeah, it's all kind of on a we'll see basis.
And I think there's more to it. I think they have more probably will they eventually use what's called, I guess, media week? I mean, I guess they could, right? or they could even probably push back the Super Bowl. There's people are up in arms saying, well, why didn't the NFL have a plan for this? There's probably some sort of plan. We just don't know. There's probably some sort of worser is not a word. More worse, more more catastrophe type situation plan. And I think Mike Tomlin kind of even led on that yesterday, right?
Yeah.
That there there's something that he's just not going to go into, really, nor should he. I mean, I understand everybody wanting to know, but I don't think the NFL went into this week as blind as what many people make it out to be. It's just impacting the Steelers heavily. It's not the at least, and there, once again, no decision has been made when this game's going to be made up. It just is. It's unsatisfying to Steelers fans because it impacts them, and they weren't the team causing it.
Sure. How important is it to you that the NFL announces the contingency plan? Do you feel like they need to do that really quickly, or are you okay with waiting to get that information?
I think if they're going to, it's still not going to quiet. It's still going to get picked apart. Whatever they announce.
But just in terms of having an answer,
it would be better for them to have had it out there. Look, this is what we all have laid out here. All right. But is it going to be good enough? No. Is it going to still, would it still incite criticism? Absolutely. Would I like to know what the plan is? Yeah. Would you? Would everybody listen to this podcast? Yeah. So yeah, I think they should put it out there, but it doesn't mean that it's still something that probably might not ultimately need to be changed on the fly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not saying it from a shield them from criticism standpoint, just for having that information so the Steelers know when the heck this game is going to be played. I would hope that we'll find out sometime, Tuesday, maybe after this week ends and the NFL has some time to review things, because I don't think you want to wait forever. I don't think you have to have a decision made today, because this game at the earliest won't be played probably until week 7, so there's still some time. But I would hope the NFL gets this information out within a week.
What do you do now? Do you, should you go ahead and institute another bye week in there and put that out there? And, it's not going to be good enough either way. Look, they haven't officially called this the Steelers bye week, I don't think yet. Mike Tomlin sort of did, I think, in his talks yesterday. For all practical purposes, you might as well start considering it that. And now we'll see what the most discouraging thing that is this has happened just 4 weeks into the season. Mm-hmm. I think and we already see how things are going with the Titans here. They better catch this thing in a hurry, or their game against the Bills next week is going to be in jeopardy. True. All right. Is this going to be the last time that we hear about an outbreak like this? Probably not.
I'd love to be able to say this is the last time, but who knows? It's likely to not be the last time, which again does beg the question of, you can only do so much schedule shuffling. The NFL got kind of lucky, so to speak, with how easy it would be to fix this game, but I'm sure it won't be as easy the next time or post bye weeks, and what do you do from there? So that may be whenever you finally cave and say, okay, we'll put in the week 18. But for now, I think whenever you only have, as of today, this one isolated case and an easy way to schedule swap it, that's probably the approach the NFL is going to take. When Mike Tomlin is taking the approach, and it's no surprise knowing Tomlin of, we're just going to plow ahead. He was asked point blank, how much is it going to affect you guys playing 13 straight weeks if this is week 4, really the Steelers bye? And he looked in the camera and said, we do not care. And that'll be the approach that the Steelers and Mike Tomlin take.
Look, the last thing they need to do is use this as an excuse, and Tomlin's not, and fans don't need to use it as an excuse either. So many people run around Chicken Little like the sky's falling 2 minutes into games. I can only imagine. I see my Twitter timeline. I imagine yours is a lot similar. People wanting to place blame, already wanting to blame the whole season on this whole thing messing up the Steelers season.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stinking thinking, if you ask me. It sucks. End of story. Get over it. The milk is spilled. Clean it up. Pour some more. That's the way. That's my thoughts on this. Now, I want you to play devil's advocate as best you can. What am I missing here where Dave is the bad fan? All right. What am I missing here where Dave has to be? What am I missing?
I don't think you're missing anything. I just understand the frustration of people who say it does suck because the Steelers, even though they would have had to come in for COVID testing during the Week 8 bye, they practiced yesterday. I don't know why they did that. That just
that kind of makes sense now. If they can't consider that, and I'm speculating here because I posted the word for word CBA up on Twitter and all, and in a post yesterday that kind of recapped what Mike Tomlin said. If evidently that ruling happened, yesterday after the team had reported. Okay, so that's a day of work whether they were there 2 minutes.
But before they practiced,
I would say go ahead and maximize the usage of your day. If it's going to go down in the books as a practice, try to get some stuff done. I have no issue with them doing whatever work they did yesterday on the practice field. Because they are there.
Well, I'll say this. I know there was some speculation on Twitter that Tomlin was trying to do a whole chess, not checkers move of practicing yesterday to somehow be able to not consider this a bye week. The NFL would have be forced to play the bye week during Week 8 and all that. That wouldn't count. Tomlin said they have 4 days off. They got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, bonus day on Monday off. So there's your 4 days right there. So it doesn't even count. And even if it was a technicality that the Steelers wouldn't have had their bye week interval, it's not going to care. It's a pandemic. No rules apply. Nothing is real. that kind of thing. I'm not that mad about it, but knowing that this is probably going to be your bye week with this game postponed, let the players have that. I know it sucks that they were already at the facility, but it's still better just to go home and rest. And that's when you take your rest and relaxation time, knowing you're not going to get it in Week 8. Or might not get it in Week 8.
All right, so you're saying, okay, and look, I mean, we don't know how many players didn't work. I mean, they obviously it wasn't probably a strenuous practice.
Right. Sure.
But based on what pictures we've seen, it seems like guys like Roethlisberger and Watt and Pouncey and the usual suspects ran around in shorts, right?
Right.
Kind of thing there. So my view. Now, this goes beyond. You still haven't let me know if I'm being a bad fan here.
I don't think you're missing anything. I don't think you're being a bad fan. I think as long as we just show some sympathy and empathy to the reality that it does suck, and it's okay to say that out loud. And as you did, and as I did, it is a sucky situation, but it's a pandemic, and what can you do? We're just trying to get through the season, and you get through it however you can get through it.
All right, so your only real issue was whenever they learned yesterday, which was obviously before practice, that Mike Thomas should have just said, "See you later, boys."
That's what I would have done. Again, I'm not losing sleep over it. As you said, it was in shells. It was not a padded practice. It was not the most intense thing, but I would not have practiced yesterday. That's just me.
Is there any part of you that says Mike Tomlin went ahead and worked to play the chess, not checkers thing, to say, well, you can't count that as our bye because we didn't have the 4 mandatory consecutive days off in a row that the CBA states constitutes a bye week?
No, because as he said, they have 4 days off: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So
no, not necessarily. I mean, I guess that's where we got to get into context here of what Mike Tomlin said. Look, we got time to kill today.
Well, he said they have 4 days off. They have 4 days off, right? They have today off, they have Saturday off, they have Sunday off, and they have Monday off.
No, he says that's a bonus day.
But it's still Monday off.
That's where I want to get into the context here. All right, they are off. I don't know how to process this properly. All right, so maybe you went to college.
Not a good one.
All right, well, you got a lot more college in you than I do.
Well, I don't think college matters. We're all just flying by the seat of our pants right now. Here
you got a lot more high school probably in you too. After about grade school, I opted out. They are off the remainder of the weekend, Tomlin said. Now, I tried to listen to this because I wanted to be properly prepared. I tried to listen to this like 50 times to see if he said we have or we had a bonus day scheduled for Monday. I come up with we had a bonus day scheduled for Monday. I guess it's key if we know if it's have or had, correct?
Well, the question
we are deep here, but I'm trying to make a point here, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, we're not one to be shy about going on rabbit holes. The question was, do the players still have to get off 4 consecutive days on this bye? They are off, and here's Tomlin's answer. They are off the remainder of the weekend. We had a bonus day scheduled for Monday. My interpretation was that Tomlin was saying that, yes, that is 4 days off, and Monday is the bonus day off. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
I take a bonus day as he's talked about bonus days in the past. Bonus days mean they're going to work on that day.
Okay.
I took this as, and it might be wrong, but this is the way I am interpreting this, and we'll find out obviously come Monday. Mm-hmm. I interpreted him saying this as we have the remainder of the weekend off. We have a bonus day on Monday that we're going to fully utilize. Now, is the bonus day discretion of the team and it's counted as a day off regardless of they take it or not? I wouldn't think so. Mm-hmm. My interpretation too is the NFL weeks start on Tuesday. So if they, I wouldn't be surprised maybe if the league steps in and says, you got to give them Monday off, Mike. You know?
Yeah. Like I said, even if we grant you the point that they practice Monday, maybe they do. Maybe I read that wrong. That was just how I first initially took it.
Well, I'm not saying you did. I'm saying I'm struggling with the context of the have or the had. I might be you know me. I'll try to overanalyze anything, and I might be doing it here. But go ahead.
Well, yeah. Even if they practice Monday, let's just say they practice Monday, regardless of how we interpret it, and they don't have 4 days off in a row. Is that really going to be the power move to get the NFL to keep their Week 8 bye? Probably not. The technicalities are not going to really work when you're playing football in a pandemic. The NFL, again, their mission is to play this season as complete as possible. And if that means the Steelers lose a day, it means they lose a day.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm going with this too. I don't think Mike Tomlin went into yesterday's practice saying, "Aha, we're going to work today. I'm going to take the bonus day," and
They worked because they were there, and Mike Tomlin is always one to work. He didn't have to practice. You know, he's going to let those guys practice.
Right, and that's the way we're both interpreting this, right?
Yes.
All right, and I don't have you in a chicken wing right now, forcing you to say that, right?
There is no gun to my head.
Okay.
I am holding today's newspaper, though. You asked me to do that. I wasn't sure what that was about. What a mess. It's always the Steelers. You said the other day, it's always the Steelers.
Right.
Somehow get thrust into every situation.
Yeah, I don't know whether I don't know why it seems to be. And no, the league doesn't hate the Steelers. No, the league's not trying to screw the Steelers here. All right. Anything else you'd like to add on this whole how the league's handled this, how the Steelers handled this, how the Titans, where the blame is? Should there, the initial decisions that's out there? Is there anything else that we're missing here that we have not objectively covered here?
Just 2 points. One, I feel for the Titans players, because if you're a Titans player and you haven't tested positive yet, that's got to be a scary situation. You got all these teammates around you, more positive tests. Are up to 7 players? I think 6 or 7 personnel members. I mean, if you're Ryan Tannehill, for example, and you got I don't know if he's married, but if you have a wife and kids or something, are you even around your family right now because you don't know if you have the virus? What a scary situation that must be. So I just want to say that out loud. And then the second point I want to make is something you wrote yesterday, is that, again, we know it sucks to have a week 4 bye and it's not fun to play 13 straight games and all that, but in 2005. This team had a week 4 bye, and they played 17 straight games, ultimately won a Super Bowl. So there is history of the Steelers and other teams in the NFL that had early byes, and they got through the schedule and they made it, and that they were successful. So don't let this be the excuse of why the Steelers can't have a successful season.
The 49ers just last year had a week 4 bye, and they made it to the to the Super Bowl. Well, people will say, well, they didn't win, so there you go. That was the reason. There. And I wrote an article about the Steelers have had several successful seasons that included early bye weeks. All right. There are studies out there. Bill Barnwell, who I just loathe, and that's loathe, not love, actually has an older article out there on the web that you can Google, talked about whether or not bye weeks have significance here. All right. Is it nice to have one in a season to maybe break one up? But 2 weeks after a bye, does it matter how healthy you are? One game you can undergo a rash of injuries not related to a bye week. Then who the hell cares what happened during your bye week, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Is it nice maybe from a mental aspect going into the season to think, oh, man, we got a bye right slap dab in the middle of the season. How great is that? And how much is the mental anguish, how much mental anguish has been caused to the Steelers players this week by them saying, well, damn, this ain't really a bye week, and now we don't have that bye week in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, it sucks for sure. And now, as we mentioned earlier, even during your normal bye week, every team has to come back to the facility. So you were going to the facility no matter what. You weren't practicing and you weren't mentally preparing. But I think the Steelers will survive this ultimately. It does suck. But what can you do? And the silver linings to the situation is it allows your team, the Steelers, to get healthier this week with Derek Watt and Deontay Johnson to go through protocol. So that's a positive. You still get rest, which is nice to have, especially in a year where I'm sure guys are even a little more tired than usual, considering they didn't have the summer preseason games and all that to kind of work through. And then you don't have to worry about a short week with Philadelphia, because you play this game on Tuesday, we'd be talking about how unfair it is to have a short week coming around this Sunday against the Eagles. So at least you have a full slate to get ready for Philadelphia in Week 5.
So the Eagles should be screaming bloody murder about right now, and I'm pretty sure being Pennsylvania that they are. It just seems like
Well, they're screaming about stuff. They're talking about the Steelers. They're just mad about
Santa Claus and
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz and everything. Man, this fan base sometimes, and I obviously been blogging about this since 2008 and all. Man, people need to relax a little bit more. They take every little thing and just go over the top with it and all. And look, I realize all fan bases do that. I imagine a large selection of Eagles fans right now are, oh, great, look at all this large, long injury list that we have here. We still haven't won one game this year. They've tied one. They haven't won one. And now the Steelers are sitting back, getting extra time to prepare for Week 5 game there. That can't be fair to the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, the mantra of the year, as unfortunate as it is, it's not about fairness, it's about completeness, and the NFL is just trying to get through the season the best they can.
All right, and once again, I put no bearing on someone find me proof where the switching of this bye week is going to impact or has potentially in the past. Remember several years ago, I read an article. Hold on a minute here. I'll read you something here. From Barnwell. In 2008, Hurricane Ike forced the Ravens and Texans to postpone their Week 2 matchup and use that early week as their bye. Baltimore went 11-5 and made it to the AFC Championship game, so it couldn't have hurt them all that much. And this is from a 2012 article on Grantland talking about is this real? Is the late bye week a competitive advantage? And you can imagine how this turned out. Basically, no. Is there any part of you, and I want to make sure we cover this fairly because people sometimes think I guess we go contrarian on this stuff. Is there any reason to believe that the moving of this bye week will impact the Steelers negatively?
Again, I'm not going to use that as an excuse if this season doesn't turn out the way the Steelers wanted to. Are there negative impacts to the bye week getting moved up? Of course. I would rather personally have it later in the season. Week 8 would have been a perfect time for a bye week. The fact that this really kind of wasn't a bye week because, again, you had to come in for practice and you prepared for the team and all of a sudden you're not playing and it doesn't get announced until Thursday, very late in the week. So it's not a traditional bye week for a lot of reasons, but you do ultimately get the benefit of not having to put your body through a game this weekend. So short answer is maybe a tiny bit of negativity, but not nearly enough to use that as any sort of excuse for whatever happens the road ahead.
just to put a human element on here, Charlotte Cameron Hayward's mother just tweeted out, "So relieved the Steelers game was postponed," and that's retweeting the Adam Schefter tweet of the two more players of Tennessee. There is a human element to this, with players and all that people have got to keep in mind here.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is vulnerable to this virus, and obviously Cam Hayward, someone who has asthma and has an underlying condition, would be at more risk if he were to contract it. So absolutely, like I said, you got to feel for the Titans players, because I'm sure they're very worried and taking the right precautions about if they may have the virus, and the Steelers would have those same concerns. So the NFL really had no choice, but it was the right choice to postpone this game, and now you just deal with a bad situation. There are no good answers here. That's just what it is. Even pushing this game to Week 18 or to Week 7 and kicking the Ravens game back a week, there are no good answers. If there was a good answer, it would have already been announced and already been executed. But you play the hand you're dealt. Unfortunately, that's how 2020 works.
Yep. All right. Where should we go from here? We got everything?
I think so. I hope so. I know it's been an ever-changing situation. Hopefully we find out next couple of days what the NFL's plan will be. My guess is it'll come after the weekend, maybe on Tuesday. That's just my guess. We do not know. And as a podcast note, we did have an interview with David Beauclair of Sports Illustrated, who covers the Titans. We recorded that on Wednesday afternoon. We thought this game might be played still on Monday or Tuesday. We're not going to run that interview just because we discussed playing the game Monday, Tuesday. We discussed the Titans, and obviously that information is kind of now moot given that this game has been postponed. So hopefully we will have David back on whenever they do play this game a little bit later in the season. But be sure to follow him on Twitter at Beauclair Sports just to give him a shout out for his time. Unfortunately, we will not be running that interview today, though.
Right, and boy, he's good too. So we hope we hope it's just so much from that interview now is kind of it's just outdated now,
Right.
and obviously with the a lot can change between personnel and all like that next time these teams play and all like that. So no sense in really running it. We appreciate his time and all, and go ahead and throw his Twitter handle out there just to make sure we try to get him some followers as well too. It's at Beauclair Sports, BOCLAIR Sports, all one word. David Beauclair. He writes and covers the type. Probably some interesting stuff he's writing. I haven't gotten over to SI over there. He covers them for Sports Illustrated. So go over there and check out some of the stuff that he's written.
Absolutely, and we will have him hopefully later in the season whenever they decide to play this game. Hey, you mentioned that was that the Hurricane, the Ravens, in what year that was? They went 11-5, Baltimore. When did they play that game? Did they push it to after the season?
Let's see. Week 2 matchup.
Week 2.
That would have been what year did I say that was?
I don't remember what year you said that was. Early 2000, something like that. Wherever Baltimore went 11-5.
In 2008. I'll look that up real quick here while you fill
I'm just curious.
Time here.
Yeah, because again, I mean, I think the NFL could institute a Week 18 game. I think they're going to do that though if there are more outbreaks and if it's harder to try to rearrange the schedule in season where it's affecting too many teams. But I don't think that's going to be their first option. It's possible. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if that's what they decide to do, and I guess that might be ultimately good news for Steelers fans. But I'm going to predict they get their bye week by having the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's my assumption this year.
You're wanting to know when they made that game up?
Yes.
Let's see. That was against the Texans that year. I forgot the question right after you answered it. Let's see here. Looks like Week 10.
So was that a bye week that someone had? So they did do some schedule shuffling. They had to have.
I don't know for sure. We'll have to Google that one.
Anyway,
but
it's interesting.
The Texans, they played the Texans in Week 10. Evidently, Week 2 became their bye week, obviously, and then Week 10 was when they actually played the Texans. So that was, unless they got lucky enough that was both of the teams' bye weeks. Right. I can find that out real well. I don't know if it would have been. It's probably changed in the annals now. It probably went into the books officially as bye week for both the teams there.
You'd have to find a news report on that that someone wrote about it at the time. Anyway, I was just wondering.
Don't tell me how to do my job.
Well, we're telling the NFL how to do their job. What a just a wild situation. So we'll keep you updated for whenever we get the make update.
I mean, I don't know what else to say on this now. It is what it is at this point. So now we'll sit back and see how we think that it's going to be ruled that laid out the way we laid it out, that Steelers week 8 bye becomes a game against the Ravens, and the week 7 week becomes a game against the Titans, and they'll just have to deal with it and play 3 games in a row. I'll tell you this. If they run through that pack of 3 games there and with a 3-0 record, or at worst, go into come out of those first there's no bye week now, so how many games will they have played after week 8 now? 7? Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
All right, so if they come out of there with just 1 loss, even if it is against the Ravens, you need to take your hat off and hand it to Mike Tomlin.
Absolutely, and the players, the Texans-Vikings game will be going as scheduled, according to Ian Rappaport. The Vikings have not had any positive COVID tests. They played the Titans last weekend, so that's good. So hopefully this thing is at least contained to just Tennessee, although, as you said, there is a question about the Week 5 game between the Titans and the Bills if this thing continues. So, yeah, NFL's got a lot of bridges to cross if and when they come to it.
Right. All right. On a positive note, the Steelers working on – I'm getting my days mixed up here. Practicing on Thursday, however strenuous a practice it was. One Deontay Johnson was out there running around in practice gear, helmet, gloves, and everything. So that is a positive. It's not like he probably wouldn't have played this weekend anyway, but we have every reason now to believe that he will be able to play against the Eagles in Week 5. So there's that. I did not see any pictures of Derek Watt, which is not overly surprising. Probably indoors getting treatment or whatnot there. So, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not too optimistic. Mike Tomlin didn't sound too optimistic. Obviously, there was a report several days ago saying it probably could miss a couple games there. So we'll just have to see how that plays out with Watt. And Marcus Allen was not in gear. There are pictures of that from yesterday. So have to assume that he did nothing or next to nothing with his plantar fasciitis there. So will this bye be enough to get guys like Marcus Allen and Watt back on the field? Who knows? And we're probably not going to get a good read on that until Mike Tomlin talks to the media again on Tuesday, and the first injury report comes out on Wednesday. A little interesting fallout, I guess you could say, and maybe something to get mad at if you're a fan. I'm giving them. I just took away the reasons to get mad. Now I'm going to give them reasons to get mad again, Alex. The CBA states that when players go on, and we found at the actual addendum finally after several weeks here, we found the whole COVID addendum to the CBA late last night there because we were talking about this. When players go on IR, on the 3-week IR with injuries, people I think are under the assumption that those players have to miss 3 weeks only. Well, if there's a bye week in there, that week does not count, at least to our understanding, and the way the CBA is written, the addendum is written, is that they must miss 3 games, not 3 weeks. And that makes sense from a competitive balance standpoint here. And what does all that mean? Well, Stefen Wisniewski, this would have been his 3rd game missed this week, right, Alex?
Yeah, he was placed after Week 1, so that would have been the Broncos, Texans, and then the Titans game, which would have given you 3 games.
So we have no update on as to the health of one Stefen Wisniewski and whether or not he would have even been healthy enough to play or will be healthy enough to play after this week. But regardless now, at this point, one has to assume that this is not counted. This is going to be counted as a bye week and not a game week. So now Wisniewski, you would think, even if he is ready to return to action, will have to also miss the game against the Eagles. Is that the way you're interpreting what we went through last night?
Yes, by the letter of the CBA. Now, we don't even know if he would have been ready and healthy even had you played this game against the Titans. We don't, because it is still a torn pec is what the injury that he suffered. So we don't know exactly where he was even at health-wise throwing the CBA stuff out of the equation, but the CBA should make it where he's not eligible to return until after the Eagles game.
Do we know if it was torn or was it just termed a pectoral injury? We don't know if it was torn, do we?
Well, I thought Dr. Mel had tweeted something about a tear or a sprain or something. I don't know. I know sprains are all considered tears just to varying degrees, but whatever it was, a relatively serious pec injury. And again, I don't know if this guy would have even been ready after 3 games.
Correct. We don't know the status on him, and Mike Tomlin's probably not going to give us a status update on him anyway. But regardless, if he was or is able to come back healthy enough to play against the Eagles, he can't. He has to now miss at least that game. In the grand scheme of things, it probably not a big deal here, but it is one little fallout thing from this week's game being a bye week. Here's the good news: is now you passed the bye week, and now every game, should you have to put someone on IR, will count. So if you're trying to work the short IR aspect of it here.
I appreciate your optimism for that.
Hey, you had the real optimism out there on Twitter yesterday.
I did?
Yeah, you were trying to give people reason to talk about Super Bowl and.
Oh, right. No, I think your article about the bye weeks was really it made me feel a little bit better about the situation. To be honest with you,
and it's just to point out, I you know me, I like to point out the absurds and go against the narratives that are out there. Personally, I could give one rat's iota about when the bye week getting moved. I just don't think that it has the impact on a season or a team that others do. Does it suck not have, I think that should be the title of this. It sucks. This podcast, it's a terrible podcast. It sucks. That should be the title of, boy, that'll really attract new listeners there. But I mean, get over it, folks.
What was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought, but
optimism.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like everybody's grandpa walking uphill both ways in the snow, but there was a time when bye weeks weren't even a thing. They were like 14, and bye weeks weren't a thing until like 1990, and so they were playing 16-game seasons for a decade without a bye week at all, and so we will survive this.
Actually, in 1966 they had byes.
I saw what's the story with that?
I don't know.
They got rid of it and.
Look, I'm fixing to have a little bit of extra free time this weekend. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. But I did go back to, me. I can't leave rabbit holes alone. In 1966, guess who their bye week was against?
The Titans weren't even in existence in '66. I don't know. You tell me.
The Patriots.
Okay.
There.
What week was the '66 bye?
8 or 9, I think. Okay. I didn't commit that to memory there. Hold on a minute. I will let you know here.
And that was during the 14-game seasons, I think.
They had the kind of the fact that they had the wherewithal notion back then to have that, But
then they got rid of it, which is strange.
Or I shouldn't say who their bye was against. Who also had the bye week that week is the better way to properly phrase that. Week 7.
Okay.
That would have been the October 23rd weekend there. The Steelers entered that game ended their bye week 1-4-1 with their.
Who was the quarterback that year? Jim Finks? No, that'd have been later than. He was earlier than that, I think.
Bill Nelson. Bill Nelson started this season. I know that. Right. Let's see. By the time, who was before the bye? They played the Eagles before the bye, and it was George Izzo. Ooh,
there's a deep cut. I do not know.
Holy moly! You learned something new. George Izzo was the quarterback for the game. That's a name I've never heard before. See, we're learning here on the Terrible. In 1966, he played in 4 games, started 1. 35 of 81, 43.2% completion percentage. 360 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Ooh. There. All right. I back up the rabbit hole there. People don't care about that probably.
Yeah. All right. Let's transition to some other Steelers news, some happier notes. TJ Watt named Defensive Player of the Week or of the month. What was it?
Of the
month. And so well deserved for him for having a fantastic start to the year, and certainly, hopefully, will be very much at the top of the Defensive Player of the Year conversation when the time comes.
Boy, if it ended right now, he'd have to be up there, right? You know, the old age-old at the season ended today aspect there. Guy's on fire right now. He's picking up where he left off. Just a great month of September. Now, there's no reason to think that won't carry over on into October here.
And Keith Butler, you got a tweet late last night about Keith Butler saying that he's never seen someone who takes the ball away like TJ Watt. It's hard to argue with that. He's got 9 or 10 forced fumbles in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, has there been a strip sacker in Pittsburgh maybe since Kevin Green? Maybe I had to go back.
James Harrison was really good at it.
Yeah, how soon we forget, right?
Yeah, but Watt's about as good as anybody. I mean, they get after the football. They get to the quarterback and they take the football away, and it's pretty special.
And this is a quote from Sports Illustrated article that from October that just went up a couple of days ago that you can find out on TJ Watt, kind of the art of the strip sack or something along those lines. Keith Butler has been coaching with the Steelers since 2003, and players like James Harrison, Joey Porter, and Lamar Woodley. Keith Butler, quote, all those guys were good pass rushers, Butler says. TJ's probably the best one at getting the ball out, though. James Harrison was good. James Harrison had that good chop coming off of that rip around the edge. Sort of like TJ, So they've had some great pass rushers in the years.
Absolutely. You think TJ Watt's going to break the Steelers sack record, ultimately break Harrison's mark? I know it's a ways away, but not that far away with the pace that Watt is on.
The pace he's on, if he stays healthy, there's no.
He can do it in 4 years. He's 40 behind right now.
Yeah, needs to obviously stay healthy, but averaging 10 a year, obviously not out of the question. And look, they drop him less, more opportunities too, right? They dropped the outside linebackers now less than they did back when Harrison and Woodley played.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll have to check what the numbers are this year. I meant to do that the other day because it's even less than last year. I'm pretty confident in, and they were not dropping. They were both under 10% last year. Watt and Dupree, they're probably around 5% this year through the first 3 weeks.
I bet Lamar Woodley's real jealous about right now. Remember those couple talking about, he had issues about having to. I remember writing the articles up about that years ago about him saying, well, they wouldn't drop me in coverage so much, blah blah blah. But all right.
All right, Dave, any other Steelers information that you want to talk about, any other pressers or interviews or anything like that, or we can kind of start heading into week 4?
Was there, they didn't really cover that much more than asking Tomlin about the bye and all right, that, like that, right? So we don't have anything left over from that.
No, Art Rooney did speak and still hoping to have some fans in the stands. I don't know how the whole Titan situation could complicate that from a Steelers and NFL standpoint. And, Rooney said that they knew that an outbreak could happen and they're prepared for it and they're going to try to get through it the best they can because they don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. All right, where are we now then? We're going to go talk about our friends at MyBookie?
Yeah, let's talk about our friends at MyBookie. Then we will make our week 4 picks and do some read emails because obviously there is no game preview to have.
All right, winning season returns at MyBookie. Winning season means doubling your first deposit. Winning season means insane props, epic bonuses, and the craziest cross-sport wagers. At MyBookie, winning season means watching live sports and betting live sports all season long. Rejoice, the NFL has returned. That means action-packed Sundays and huge cash prizes. Get in on the action. Promo code terrible and double your first deposit. New players get up to $1,000 in free play designed to add more excitement to the sports you love and the games you bet. Bet with the best this NFL season for a chance to win big. Use promo code terrible. That's terrible and double your first deposit. Your winning season begins today only at mybookie.ag.
All right, Dave, let's start with our week 4 picks. Yesterday, I got the Broncos, who had that come from behind victory against the Jets, and so I am 1-0 to start the week.
Yeah, Adam Gase owes me some money.
That's what you get for trusting Adam Gase with your money.
They go for it on fourth down there and get it. I bet they scored a touchdown there, I was rooting against him at that point. I was saying, okay, he deserves to lose, and they did there. All right, we'll get into the games this week here. Indianapolis Colts at the Chicago Bears. I guess the Mitch Trubisky era is coming to an end, right? Nick Foles, he deserves obviously to start coming in, playing the way he played at the end of that game last week there. Even so, the Bears at home are underdogs, 2.5 points.
Ooh, home dogs with Nick Foles. You know what? I'm going to go with Chicago in this one. I know they lost to Rico in 2, but the Colts haven't been super impressive, so I'm going to go with Chicago.
I think his slipper's going to come off there. Phillip Rivers, did you listen to the mic'd up segment of Phillip Rivers from this past week?
I did not.
It's very, very good. Guy can get you fired up there. Anyway, their defense is playing better than I think what's expected. I like the Colts in this one to lay the 2.5 on the road. New Orleans Saints at the Detroit Lions. Another road favorite here. Lions at home plus 4.5.
Yeah, this one's tough. I mean, the Saints, they have Michael Thomas. I mean, Breeze looked better last week, but that offense still is missing such a big piece. It really feels like it's just Kamara right now. I'm going to lean the Saints get back on track here, but it's hard to be super confident in this one.
Yeah, give me the Saints on the road to cover that 4.5 number. I just think offensively they'll be too much. Arizona Cardinals on the road against Carolina Panthers, another road favorite. Panthers at home getting 3.5.
Against the Cardinals, you said?
Cardinals and the Panthers.
Okay. Yeah, give me Arizona. I know Murray didn't have his best game last week. They'll also right the ship, and Murray's just such a fun player to watch. So give me Arizona.
You know what? I think Arizona wins this, but I don't think they cover. I think it's 3. I think I'm going to like having that hook on this one here, that half-point hook. So give me Carolina plus the 3.5. Jackson. You'll be tuned in for this one, right? Jacksonville Jaguars at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, are they going to finally? They got a tie last week. Burrow's not playing bad. Bengals -3, laying 3 at home against the Jaguars.
This one's tight. I mean, I'm really worried about that Bengals O-line. I mean, they get their left tackle back, Jonah Williams, and they still somehow have the worst offensive line in football. But the Jaguars' pass rush is so anemic. So I'm going to lean Cincy on this one. I don't know if I feel great about it, but I'll lean the Bengals and Burrow.
I'm going with the road teams. Give me the plus 3. I think the Jaguars win this one outright. Bet that money line. Cleveland Browns on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. Surprisingly, Dallas, maybe not. Home favorites in this one, laying 5.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to go Dallas, man. They fight really hard. They've had so much adversity. That line's been a mess. I hope they have Tyron Smith back, because if it's whoever they have a left tackle against Myles Garrett, that's going to be a problem. But Dallas, they just find ways to win or get really close. So give me Dallas.
Yeah, Garrett had a couple sacks in that game, I think, last week there. You root for the asteroid in this one. That's who you root for, Browns and Cowboys.
You got to root for Dallas, though. You got to have maybe. Losses.
Yeah. Give me the Cow. I don't care how they do it. I hope the Cowboys win. I'll lay the 5, Alex. I'll lay the 5. Okay. Vikings at the Texans. Both these teams are winless, right?
Do the Vikings have a win? No, I don't think they do, because they lost on the game-winning field goal last week. Yeah. Wow. How about that statement?
Yeah. Who saw that one coming, right?
Mm-hmm. What's the line here?
-4. Texans favored by 4.
I know Devin Cook's running really well. I just don't trust Kirk Cousins, and I think the Texans team they got to get a win at some point. I mean, they've been through the ringer the first 2 weeks. Give me Houston.
Give me Vikings on the road to win this one outright.
Wow.
Give me the Vikings on the road to win this one outright. I'll take that 4 points. Seattle Seahawks on the road against the Miami Dolphins. One would think that this should be a piece of cake for Seattle the way they're playing here. Miami getting 6 at home against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to go Seattle. I mean, as well as Russell Wilson's playing, though, these games have been so close. I mean, that's been the crazy part. I mean, you feel like they should be winning big every single week, but Wilson's on fire, and I'm going to go Seattle.
I'll go with Seattle laying this 6 on the road as well, too. Los Angeles Chargers at Tampa Bay here. Buccaneers laying 7.5. Is that enough?
Is it in Tampa or is it in LA?
It's in Tampa, on the road. Chargers on the road, going out West Coast to East Coast there.
I'm going to say the Chargers cover because I don't think I've had that kind of pick yet this week, but Tampa's going to win this one.
Man, I do not miss the state of Florida. I'm just going to throw that out.
Was it just the hurricanes or the humidity or all of it?
Born and raised there, man. I've done it. I did it all in that state. All right, I have all the T-shirts there, and I don't do. Let me tell you, I woke up this morning, walk outside here. It's October here in Vegas right now. There is no better time.
What's the temp out there? It's cold in PA.
It warms up. Now, don't get me wrong. We're still getting some 90-something degree days out here, but man, the mornings are starting to get that crispness to it. The heat's not as bad. It's 72 out here right now. 11% humidity right now.
Well, we
haven't had measurable rain since April.
It's not bad for the area. How is that? How do people live there?
It's fantastic. I highly advise everybody try it.
Isn't that why the whole West Coast is on fire?
Man, the single best decision we made years ago was to move out here. I do not miss Florida at all. With that, I will take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and lay the 7.5 points. I just wanted to get that out there because I stepped outside, just had a cup of coffee. It's just nice. Baltimore Ravens at the Washington Football Team. 14 points in this one. Ravens going to rebound. What'd you see out of Lamar? Lamar Jackson had under 100 yards passing in that game against the Chiefs. Can you imagine? Ben Roethlisberger played a full game and didn't have 100 yards passing. We see Lamar have these clunkers and then turn around and put up 52 fantasy points there. Is this going to be that week? Ravens on the road laying 14.
Yeah, I think it is going to be the week for Lamar to turn it up. What better opponent to greet you after that 97-yard performance against the Chiefs than Washington, and how much you're struggling right now. Haskins is not playing well. McLaurin's really their only viable weapon in the pass game, with a little bit of Antonio Gibson. But short answer here, yeah, Ravens. That's a big line, but I'll take the Ravens still.
I'm gonna go with that's too big of line defense. Give me the Washington Football Team at home. I think Baltimore obviously wins this, but I'll take those 14 points. New York Giants on the road against the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams favored by 13.5 at home here against the G-Men.
Another big line. The Rams are going to win this one. That's a pretty easy answer, but I do think the Giants cover.
I will go with that's just enough. The Rams will win this by 2 touchdowns, so I'll lay the 13.5. New England Patriots. This ought to be a good one. New England Patriots at the Kansas City Chiefs here. Belichick obviously known for trying to take away an offense's biggest weapon. I'm not sure how that applies to a quarterback sometimes. Boy, Mahomes. He looked good the other night, man. Some of those throws. Is there a better off-platform thrower? Maybe not named Aaron Rodgers?
You know? I think he's even better than Rodgers. But Mahomes is the only guy having a good 2020. I'm very jealous of him for it. What's the line here?
He got engaged as well, too. Hope he got the nut.
Right, having a kid.
Yeah, I hope he got the prenup going there. Minus 6.5 for the Chiefs against the Patriots.
I'm going to go with New England to at least cover on this one, just because Belichick defensively have the schematics and just different disguises and looks to try to slow down Mahomes. I think the Chiefs still win this one, but the Patriots keep it really close.
Superman versus the new Superman. This one should be a good one. I think this one also stays closer than the 6.5 points. So give me the Patriots plus 6.5. I'll be silently rooting though for the Chiefs to hand it to them.
I got a more of a Batman Joker kind of vibe here. Okay. Really rich dude, Mahomes versus the Joker.
All right,
that's canon, right? That's I'm in the right universe on that, aren't
I? With
Batman and the Joker. Right?
Yeah,
that's a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not.
Have you watched the Birds of the Prey yet? That movie? Oh man, that's a good movie, man. I don't usually like the DC stuff and all like that, but they really did a good job with that and all. So maybe you get some time, watch that Birds
I
of
guess I
Prey.
have some free time now this
Yeah.
weekend, don't I?
Buffalo Bills at the Las Vegas Raiders. Bills favored by 3.5. Raiders at home getting 3.5.
Give me the Raiders on this one. I don't know. I know they have a lot of injuries at receiver though, with Ruggs and Edwards out. I'm still gonna roll the dice with Las Vegas.
Give me the Bills to cover this one on the road, late at 3.5. That brings us to Philadelphia Eagles at the San Francisco 49ers. I think that's our Sunday night game here. 49ers laying 7 against the Steelers. Boy, the Eagles too. They have a kind of a shorter week, having to play Sunday night on top of it here. -7 49ers.
I know the 49ers are so beat up. They still have Nick Mullins is still starting, right? Jimmy G's not back yet. Do we know that?
I don't know if we know that for sure, do we? The Eagles are. Have you seen their injury
No,
list?
it's a CVS receipt list. It's ridiculous. I mean, they have I think one healthy receiver yesterday. Schematically, Shanahan's doing a great job with all those injuries. I think he's a really good coach, and so I'm going to go with the 49ers in this one, even with that 7-point line.
Yeah, not looking good for Jimmy. I will still go 49ers lay the 7 points against the Eagles here. That brings us to the Monday night game. Green Bay Packers hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Packers laying 7.5. Interesting.
I'm going to say Atlanta. My bold take here. Atlanta wins this one outright. The Packers have no receiving help because Lazard's out. Adams is very questionable to play. I mean, I know Aaron Rodgers is having a great season. Aaron Jones is an excellent running back, but Matt Ryan is having a good start to the year as well. I think Julio probably returns, which will help their passing game. So I'm going to say Atlanta in the upset.
Yeah, I'm not scared. I'll take the Packers lay to 7.5. I think this ends up being like a 13-point win or something like that. So I will take the Packers and lay the 7.5 on Monday night. All right, what game are you most looking forward to seeing?
I mean that Chiefs Patriots is a really good one. So I'm looking forward to it. I got my new laptop came in yesterday, so I'm looking forward to busting that thing out and getting that thing ready. And I guess it's a good timing with the bye week. I guess it kind of worked for me personally.
Yeah. Let's see what other one here. I guess the Browns and the Dallas Cowboys would be the second best one to maybe tune in to one there. All right. I guess we should get to the email machine, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. I wonder what the take the temperature of Steelers Nation here. I'm sure what the reaction is from yesterday's news.
I don't know. I called a lot of them stupid earlier in the podcast. I'm sure we get some emails.
We love our Steelers fans.
We really do. I just get irritated, man. You know, you take the kind of abuse I take on Twitter here with some of these people and the nasty emails that I get, and it just I got to fire back every once in a while. Jay Matthewson writes in, "Hey guys, love your podcast and appreciate you both. One quick question: which of these guys will score the first mech touchdown this year?" This might be the best question we've had in weeks. Which of these guys will score the first mech touchdown this year? McFarland, McLeod, or McDonald? What a great question, Jay. Kudos to you. Keep up the good work, he says.
That is a really good question. McLeod's been so close to breaking some of these. I'm going to go with maybe the easier answer and probably the most popular one and say Anthony McFarland is the first of the three mix.
I will go McDonald. I think he gets the next red zone touchdown here. All right. Okay. I obviously, if I were to rank them, I would go McDonald, McFarland, McLeod. For obvious reason, McLeod don't touch the ball much. But you could, with him returning though and almost breaking one, it's fathomable, it's plausible to put him in this conversation. Jay, kudos to you. What a great question there.
Very good one, Jay.
Bryce writes in, "Hey guys, it's Bryce. Crazy week for the Steelers. Some thoughts after 3 games now. How have defenses been scheming against the Steelers offense? What have they been trying to take away the most, and what defenses have been playing to try to stop our offense? Based on their and number 2, based on their play in the first 3 games, money amounts aside, who's played the best out of Filer and Juju to warrant an extension? You can only pick one, so choose wisely. Number 3, as McFarland gets more playing time, My biggest concern about him is his ability as a pass protector. Based on what you've seen in college tape, do you think he has the ability to grow and excel in pass pro? You take number one. After 3 games, how a defense has been scheming against the Steelers offense.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a real common theme. I think each defense kind of has their own personality, and they're just trying to play to their strengths. I mean, a decent amount of man, some more blitzes. I don't know if there's one really common thread in terms of how they're attacking. I think they're just trying to feel out, a team with Ben and how Ben's playing and how some of these new weapons are doing. So I don't have a really strong answer for you. I'm sorry about that, but I think each team has been a little bit different in terms of their personality. Houston's been more blitz heavy than, say, the Giants. So I think they're just kind of playing to their own personalities.
Right. I would agree. Number 2, based on their play in the first 3 games, money amounts aside, who's the best out of Filer and Juju to warrant an extension?
I mean, Juju has clearly been better than Filer to start the year.
Clearly. And I think just throwing everything out the window and just looking at it in a vacuum anyway, give me skill player. I'm a guard guy.
Mm-hmm. And Filer's done well as a run blocker and as
right.
a puller, but in pass pro he has been a little shaky.
Right. I am a guard guy. I love guards, edge, and tight ends that can block. You know me. I gotta take the skill guy though. That young skill guy, and also knowing that I think Filer, a little bit easier, more replaceable, maybe with a guy like Dotson down the road there, or some moving to Castro, however the hell it works out. Give me Juju on that one as well too, and that's not a slight towards Filer. I just given everything, put it in a vacuum. Give me Juju. McFarland gets more playing time. Biggest concern about him. I probably know more about McFarland as a pass protector, right?
Yeah, no, answer that question.
What limited amount he did in the 2 years at Maryland, I keep going back to this. I got to see the want, right? The want to, the willingness to. I saw that in McFarland's tape. The understanding, there's not a lot of tape on him having to make decisions on conflict. All right, so you got to kind of punt there. But the ability, look, he can cut. I think there's one clip of him maybe standing a guy up there, him out in the edge. There's not a lot there overall, so I'll go back to the want to. And the want to was there. And if you have the want to, and him kind of being one of the little stockier guys and not Chris Rainey-ish or Dree Archer-ish, I think there's something to work with. So, yeah, I think he's got the ability to grow. And excel might be a strong word, but I think he can become a guy that you're not afraid to have out there. How's that?
Yeah, I think that sums it up well. He'll get better. As you said, the 1-2 is the foundational thing, and he certainly has that, and there's enough size to work with. And they can be smart with him by splitting him out and getting him on routes to pull a linebacker instead of keeping the linebacker in on one of those hug blitzes. So it's never going to be his calling card, but I think he can be good enough to play in passing situations.
I have more confidence in him right now than I do Jalen Samuels in pass pro, and I haven't even hardly seen anything, of this college tape there. So, look, write me down as that. He has the want to. That's the thing that stuck out the most for me from his Maryland tape was the want to. For me to speak beyond that, not having seen and Alex not seeing any drills and yada yada, that's where we're at on him. Darren Boyer writes in, "Hi, Dave and Alex. Obviously, the Tennessee this is titled the Tennessee Dunces. Obviously, Steelers Nation is frustrated by the fallout of events caused by the Titans' lack of commitment to keeping themselves out of harm's way." That's a little strong there, don't you think, Darren, not knowing the facts? I can't disagree. He goes on to say, "I can't disagree with how the league has handled it, but I'm concerned it signals to the players throughout the rest of the league that they can let their guard down because the NFL will just bail you out and reschedule if need be." It seems like a biased take there as well, too, Darren. Because of this, I feel the league should force the Titans to change their name to the Tennessee Dunces for the rest of the season, and Vrabel should be required to wear a dunce cap to the Steelers game. Do you think this solution would allow the game to be rescheduled and keep the other 31 teams diligent as ever? Thanks, Darren from Brooklyn. Darren, I think that's a little strong there, not knowing the facts.
I think the back half of that is funny with the Tennessee dunces and Vrabel in the corner with a dunce cap on. I don't think that the NFL reshuffling is going to make any players feel more lax about it. I think if anything, they're going to feel more intense about being very smart about what they do in public and not being in public as much as possible, because no one wants to have COVID. First of all, no one wants to be the guy responsible or feel responsible, even if it's not their fault, even if they weren't reckless, but for having an outbreak in a locker room that totally disrupts a team season. So I don't think the players will let their guard down because the NFL moves the schedule around a little bit.
All right, this one, we've got to be careful with the dates on these when they came in. This one came in Thursday, 6:42 a.m. I think that's my time. So I think maybe the word about the Tennessee news is out there from Chris Lookhart. He writes in, "Hey, guys, I had a thought after listening to Wednesday's podcast. Do you think it's fair to the Steelers to make them play a game later in the season or to make them play on Tuesday? It shortened their week next week. When is the Titans organization and players who may have not followed their protocol or have pulled a Seattle rookie mistake and tried to sneak some girl in? I don't find it fair that the Steelers have to work around the Titans' mistakes. Just a thought. Thanks." Chris, we spent a lot of time on this trying to look at this at all angles and be as objective as possible here. Until somebody shows me that there was negligence on the part of the Titans, it's just one of those things, brother.
Yeah, well, even if there was negligence, I still don't think that would constitute a forfeit for an entire Titans team. That might be an unpopular opinion to share on the podcast, but that's my thought on it. And again, it's not about fairness. It's not fair to the Steelers. It's just not. But that's not the concern for the NFL right now. The concern is playing a 16-game season the best way they can in the middle of a pandemic. And if some team has to fall on the sword a little bit, then so be it.
Where do people come in on where we should be? People think because we blog about this team that we should be pro this and pro that. Anything that favors the Steelers. This is not the way I designed the site. It's not the way we designed this podcast, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to just tell you what our opinion is. It may not always be the most popular from a fan base standpoint, but it's just my thoughts. I'm just telling you what I think.
Right, and we try to look at this from all angles. And if I thought, if I thought, this, if someone could give me evidence here where Vrabel and they tried to hide something or whatever, then yeah, I would be like, well, you know what? But even so, with the outbreak that they had, where is it fair to the Steelers players and their own health concerns to make them play this game? It's it's easy to say, all right, well, they had the practice squad rules in place and blah, blah, blah. Who cares it's easy to say, okay, who cares that they didn't get to practice? That's their own. Make them play the game anyway. All right, I get that. But where is the sympathy on the Steelers players' parts of going into this game worrying about if they're going to catch COVID? And right. then take that home and get a loved one sick.
Exactly. That's a really good point. Yeah, I think the only way you would entertain some sort of forfeit is the scenario you outlined, Dave, where if this was some sort of true effort to cover up something or hide something like that, where there was really something to some terrible degree, that may be the only time to constitute a forfeit. Other than that, I just don't see a forfeit on the table. By the way, the NFL has reached an agreement with the union to extend daily testing, and players and coaches are not allowed to leave their city during their bye week. And
that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that's all sensible things to do.
It's not a bubble per se, but I mean, look, and maybe the bright spot to come out of this is maybe it's some sort of a wake up call. I mean, look, players are still going to have birthday parties. Even the Steelers, I think, aren't they looking forward now to moving this up to having their rookie dinner weekend and all like that? How do you properly do that? And
I don't think you do any of that stuff if you can help it.
Personally, I don't either. All right, but do they have it at the players' houses? Is that responsible? What happens if they have this rookie dinner, God forbid, and one of them tests positive? All right.
Yeah, that's why you don't have the rookie dinner until after the season. And Ben's taking that approach. Ben says his kids are homeschooled and he's not. No one comes over to the house, and that's got to be the approach that I think every player has to take. And that's a tall ask because you're asking every single player. You got 70-man rosters basically to to do the right thing, and it's hard to expect every single guy to do that, but that has to be the mission.
I mean, look at the Raiders, right? And getting chastised about a charity event or something like that?
Fundraiser, yeah,
or
10 guys were
fundraiser.
Yeah.
Real quick before we start winding, I don't think we have any more questions left here, Alex. What do you, with all the testing that is going on, how do you feel about coaches and staff and members and all like that having to wear masks on the sideline? Is that more of a show?
Yeah, I mean,
you get where I'm coming at here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's partly that, just to at least to have some sort of visual to show the wearing mask is important. I do believe that. But also, as we know, this virus can incubate. So sometimes you may have a situation where someone is carrying the virus, I guess, and they were tested negative the day before a game or something, but they may still have it. So I think just having that mask is important. There is some sort of symbolism to it, no doubt, but I think there is certainly at least value in having those guys wear it as well.
So I mean, they should have to wear one, right?
Yeah, I have no problem with that, and I understand some people will counter that and say the irony of wearing a mask while you're playing football and guys are tackling each other and all that stuff. And the only solution to that is just to not play football. But I think the NFL is trying to play football the most sensible way possible.
I lied to you. You have one more. Anthony Yost. This one came in via the comment system. Hey, guys, been listening for 5 years now. Just wanted to thank y'all for your hard work you guys have been putting in during all this craziness. Look, it's been easier on us. We're sitting in the house. I'm sitting in Mom's basement here. You guys have been putting in during all this craziness. What has been your overall impression of Devin Bush so far during his sophomore season? I know he's had some ups and downs regarding his coverage this year, but I think he did a great job bouncing back with the PBU against Fells last Sunday. I think we highlighted that, right? Judging by the TV tape and the All-22, where do you guys think he's made improvements, and where are some areas he still needs to work in so he can reach his full potential? Thanks again, guys, for all your hard work you've done so far. Stay safe. Really just more of the coverage aspect, I think, overall in the tight ends. Now, he hasn't been put in some good positions here and sort of some lose-lose situations, if you ask me, when it comes to like stuff with Noah Fant and all. Outside of him just not making these splash plays, I think it's okay to say that he's had an okay start to his sophomore season.
Yeah, I think so too. Again, he's been an every down, every situation guy. That's new for him. Wearing the green dot, being a central communicator, new for him. Seems to be doing that well enough. Maybe I would like to see him be a little bit more downhill, a little more physical in the run game. That's not entirely his game the way it is Vince Williams, but overall, I think he's shown more patience, better processing in the run game. He's been a solid and reliable tackler as well, and got some impact as a blitzer, even though I don't think he has a sack quite yet. But yeah, I've been happy with Devin Bush in year two. And by the way, Jeremy Fowler is saying NFL could decide on Steelers-Titans makeup as early as today, per source. Nothing set in stone, but announcement could come 4 seconds after our podcast, probably is what's going to happen.
We use the term central communicator. This is going to be way before your time, but the central scrutinizer, I always think about that. Frank Zappa. I suppose you don't own Joe's Garage Acts 1 and 2, right?
Just Act 1. Didn't get Act 2 yet.
You like kind of progressive music, right?
Progressive music?
How would you define your musical taste?
Oh, God. All over the place. It's so – you should look at my Spotify playlist. You would think I'm insane. It just runs the whole gamut. I have like Gladys Knight to The Weeknd to country music in there.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of, I'm an Andy Gibb fan. Do you know who Andy Gibb is?
No idea.
You know who the Bee Gees are?
Mm-hmm. I do. Staying Alive.
All right. Well, the Bee Gees, their younger brother was Andy Gibb. All right. So
was he part of the Bee Gees?
No, he never was part of the Bee Gees.
Oh.
But Andy Gibb was very, very popular. Late. I guess it would have been late 70s, early 80s, kind of solo career and all. Rest in peace. He died many, many moons ago. But I like him. And look, Joe's Garage, Frank Zappa, really, if you're into intricacies of music and development and arrangements, Zappa is just off the charts. So pick up Joe's Garage. You won't be disappointed. So that's your musical, how would you say, what would you say, breakdown? I don't know.
musical critique
of the podcast. All right, anything else we have to wrap up here?
Nope. We'll get any updated news about the Titans game to you. Maybe we'll find something out later today about when that game will be rescheduled. My guess will be week 7, but we'll find out for sure. And we will return on Monday to talk about hopefully some new information on this game.
All right. When did who had that last report? Fowler?
Yeah, Fowler had it.
And he said sometime this weekend?
He said as early as today it could be announced. So no timetable. It could not be today, but as early as today is the report from Jeremy Fowler.
Will you think the Steelers will practice on Monday?
My assumption was no, but maybe I'm wrong about that. We'll find out Monday.
All right, we'll see. In the meantime, we'll try to keep everybody entertained on SteelersDepot.com. The remainder of the weekend, we'll have some Sunday game day discussion threads up for people to discuss the games and all. We'll have the Friday night. Get into Friday night 5 questions. You can win money. You can win Dave's money in there. So that'll be up later today as well too. Props to David O for monitoring all that. In the meantime, we'll be back on Monday. You can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. Let's see. Yeah, you can send us questions, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and you want to donate to the cause, go to SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button, upper right navigational bar. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, go to SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button, up right navigational bar. And for $25 for 1 calendar year, you can have an ad-free version of the site. You hear how popular it is, people. Take advantage of it. In the meantime, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.